We're going to talk about some different type of angle pairs over the next couple of weeks. We'll narrow it to just 4 this time, and then we'll add a couple more next week. Before I get into the angle types, I want to show you how to name an angle. It's important you know how to name an angle correctly so we're all on the same page on what angle we're talking about. So each angle is made up of 2 rays. The 2 angles that make up this, the 2 rays that make up this angle would be ray BA, with B is your endpoint, it goes on forever in the direction of A, and then BC, B is your endpoint, goes on forever in the direction of C. Okay, so since it's made up of 2 rays, that means every angle has at least 3 points on it. Right, so when you go to name the angle, there are a couple different ways you can name it. If there is only the point where the rays meet, which right here is B. The point where they meet is called your vertex. If there is only one angle at that vertex, meaning there's no other legs that come out through here, then you can name that angle just angle B. Okay, that's not going to happen very often on the type of problems that we're going to deal with. We're going to have to name it by using 3 letters. Right. When you name it using 3 letters, your vertex has to be in the middle of the letters. So my vertex is point B. Okay, so this angle can be named angle ABC, which means, so it's ABC. So if you follow along the letters, you see the angle formed, ABC. Or they could be named angle CBA. You can go in the other direction. If I start at C, go to B, and go to A, it traces the angle. Okay, just make sure when you name an angle, the middle letter has to be your vertex. And put the angle sign before it. Okay, I put a dash on my angle sign just so the sign doesn't look like an L. The first special angle pair we're going to talk about are complementary angles. And complementary angles are 2 angles that when you add up their measures, it adds up to be 90 degrees. Okay, these angles do not have to be joined together. They can be just 2 separate angles. Right, so I can say that angle plus that angle is equal to 90 degrees. That makes them complementary. Okay. If we know that this is a right angle, I can say that angle ACB, which is, if I trace it, ACB, which is this small little angle here, plus angle BCD, which would be this angle here. If I trace B to C to D, I have what's left. If I add those 2 angles together, I get the entire angle, which is equal to 90 degrees. Right? Because we have this box here, we know that's a 90-degree angle. So if we take this half of the angle plus this half of the angle, it has to equal the entire thing, which is 90 degrees. So therefore, we can say that angle ACB and angle BCD are complementary angles. Okay, angles that add up to be 90 degrees. And then the next type of angles are called supplementary angles. And supplementary angles are angles that add up to be 180 degrees. 180 degrees is the measurement of a straight line. So anytime you have a straight line, it's 180 degrees. So if I take this first angle here, ABC, angle ABC, and add in angle CBD, it's going to equal 180 degrees. It's going to equal the straight line. See, if you look at the red, it goes all the way around to the straight line, so it's 180 degrees. So that means that angle ABC and angle CBD are supplementary. Supplementary adds up to 180. To keep complementary and supplementary straight in my mind, I think of alphabetical order. C comes before S, so complementary comes before supplementary, and 90 comes before 180. So complementary is 90, supplementary is 180. One of the most common type of angle pairs are called vertical angles. Vertical angles are formed by intersecting lines. If you have intersecting lines, it always will give you two pair of vertical angles. The vertical angles are kind of across from each other. So if I have my intersecting lines here, as you see, there's 4 angles that are made by those intersecting lines. The vertical angles are the ones that are across from each other. So my first set of vertical angles would be these two. So to name those angles, it would be angles A, B, D. Okay. Angle ABD and angle CBE are vertical angles. Okay, so those are the left to right pair, but you always also have a pair on top and bottom. So if we look on the top and bottom of each other, that would be angle ABC and then angle DBE. So the top and bottom angles are also vertical, which means they are equal to each other. Okay. So vertical angles formed by intersecting lines, you'll have a pair on top, a pair on from left to right, and their measures are congruent. So therefore, if the top is 10, and the bottom measure has to be 10 also. So that would mean if the left angle is 170 degrees, that means the right angle also has to be 170 degrees. So you have vertical angles are across from each other, formed by intersecting lines. Their angle measures are congruent. And the final type of angles we're going to talk about are called a linear pair. Inside the word linear is the word line. So linear pair are two angles that make a straight line. Okay? They're adjacent, which means they share a side, so they're going to be smashed together, like in this diagram. We have two angles here, ACB and BCD. Okay, they share the side BC, it's in both of them. If I separate them apart, I'd still have side BC in them. Okay, but when we do ACB plus BCD, we get that entire straight line. So that means they are supplementary angles. That when I add them together, they equal 180 because a straight line equals 180 in math. Okay, so I can say that angle ACB and angle BCD are a linear pair. When you think of linear pair, think of a straight line. Okay, linear pair equals 180 degrees because a straight line equals 180 degrees. So therefore, a linear pair is supplementary.